David reminds us in Scripture, if we are going to place our trust fully in the Lord, it calls for a dwelling or an abiding in Him, not a rushed prayer and then run away to our business. Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Thursday. You know, I really like the headings that are placed in our Bibles before each psalm. It gives us a synopsis or a direction as we read the words of the psalmist. And Psalm 91 begins by saying, the safety of abiding in the presence of the Lord. He explains to us that God is not a shelter where we duck in from a downpour and then we run back out when the rain slacks up, or we hurry off on our merry way. He says in Psalm 91:1, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him I will trust. David reminds us of the necessity of dwelling and abiding with God, spending some time there or staying under His shelter all of our lives. He says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. Now, a secret place might denote a shelter from the enemy, somewhere we can hide, but I think there's even more than that. When we find that secret place of the Most High, we find that we can spend some time there with Him to be able to share our fears, our needs, our requests, even the desires of our heart. Then he goes on to say, that person will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Now I realize a shadow can be a frightening thing. You know, danger lurks in the dark shadows. I don't know if you remember that show or not. But we might wonder, what great beast can cast such a shadow over us in the darkness? But a shadow can also be a comforting thing. Maybe a respite from the hot sun when you sit in the shadow of a great tree. Or can you imagine seeing your life from a distance, noticing there is this great shadow of God that is enveloping over our every move and over every moment? Wow. The psalmist's testimony is, I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. Notice what happens when we dwell in that secret place or abide under His shadow. That means that when we face dangers or fears, we don't have to find that place to run and hide. We're already in the safest place on this earth. We need to spend some time there today, conversing with God or recognizing His protection, as well as His tender comfort and His guidance in our lives. The psalmist reminds us that God will deliver us from the snare of the fowler if you feel you're being pursued by the enemy. He'll deliver you from the perilous pestilence, those things that sometimes creep up and try to overtake us. All the advantages that are promised here in Psalm 91 from this refuge and this fortress will require us to do some abiding and some dwelling in the presence of the Lord. So let's start doing that today. Spend some time alone with God, and you will find that shelter, that refuge, that shadow that covers us when we're in God's presence.